Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Grandstream. Today's host is our good friend, Phil Bowers. He is the Director of Marketing there, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please make sure to submit a question box, and Phil will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Phil, thank you again for being with us. We greatly look forward to what you've got to share. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Julie, and thanks for having me again. Always look forward to joining up with you guys over at Microcom to do a webinar. And you know, as we've kind of one of the I would say the main topics we've kind of fallen into for these webinars over probably the last year or so is providing you an update with all the new stuff that's going on here at Grandstream. And since our last webinar in June, we've launched a bunch of different products, really covering a wide variety of different product categories, end user verticals, whatnot. So we'll go through those. That's basically what we're doing here today. Gonna go through, and I have a slide here to show you exactly what we'll talk about here in a moment throughout today's webinar. But yeah, so you know, before we get started, you know, as you know, and as we've talked about many times in these webinars over the course of the last couple of years, everybody, you know, our history and what we're well known for and what we've built our name on traditionally over the years has been on the unified communication front. We're the #2 company in the world in manufacturing IP phones, top 5 in IP PBX solutions, #1 in ATAs, #1 or #2, depending on who you talk to, on video phones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as you also know, we've really basically over the course of the last 5 to 6 years have really expanded Grandstream to also be a networking solutions provider. And we now have, and you'll hear a lot about the new stuff we have here today, and we're going to continue adding on to it, a full solution of networking products, everything you're going to need to build a in-person, virtual or remote networks, as well, pairing up with everything we have on the unified communication side, with the cloud management that we have for all of our devices and all of our platforms. Really, again, adds up to us being, you know, really growing into being a one-stop shop, not just for unified communications, but for all ICT solutions, ICT being information and communication technology solutions. The networking solutions side of the business has been growing over the last 5 years for us at triple digits in terms of percentage every year, really growing into one of the core facets of our business. We're not going anywhere with any of the UC stuff. But again, you know, really trying to, you'll see a lot of this, if you visit us in trade shows this year, you've seen a lot of this type of branding. You'll see a lot more of it as we go into next year, really trying to promote our company really as not just a unified communications provider, but with the addition of networking solutions, a full information and communications technology provider. All right, so let's jump into today's topic, today's agenda. 6 topics that you have listed on here. Number 4, number 5, I actually think we covered in previous webinars, so I'll go through those really fast. But basically, again, giving you an update on everything that's new and all the new products that we've come out with over the last couple of months. You've probably, you know, noticed over the years that this is, you know, one of the ways that we continue to innovate, one of the ways that we continue to grow is by always developing and releasing new products, especially now on the networking solution side of it. We are continuing to expand that portfolio to have more devices to allow you and our, you know, business users, partners, customers, to allow everybody to just do more and have more options with the networking solutions portfolio. So we got some new network switches going to tell you about. We got some new facility control stations. These facility control stations are awesome. It's something that I've been waiting for a long time. So really excited to show you a little bit about those. We've got 4 new Wi-Fi 6 access points that have come out in the last couple of months. I'm going to tell you, and I think we covered this in the last webinar, but I've got 2 slides on our UC and networking conversion solutions. That's the GCC series. We launched those back in May. Some new models became available last month, and you've probably seen the majority of our marketing the last couple of months has really been focused on those GCC solutions. We got some new cordless IP phones. I think we definitely covered those in a previous webinar, so I'll fly through those. Some new Wi-Fi 6 cordless models, a new DECT cordless models, and then I'll wrap up by giving you an idea of what you can keep an eye out for over the next probably 4 to 6 months. Some really cool new stuff on the horizon, including Wi-Fi 7. So we'll get to that very last. But without further ado, let's jump in here. Really just gonna kind of go through product by product of the new stuff that we've launched here. So mentioned here on this agenda slide, we'll start with network switches. Two new network switches to tell you about. This is the most interesting, the most noteworthy one of the two. It's actually probably I think it may be the most interesting switch that we have in our portfolio. And the first thing to point out about this switch is it is IP66 rated waterproof and dustproof. So this is the GWN7710R. The R essentially stands for ruggedized. This is an outdoor, weatherproof, waterproof access point. Ideal for not access point, layer 2 light managed switch. It looks like our access point, so I occasionally think that it is, but it is, as you can see from the ports right there, this is a layer 2 light managed switch. So it does give you, layer 2 functionality, obviously the light end of it, but it is fully managed through GDMS or through the web user interface for the product. Again, the big thing with this one is it's weatherproof, waterproof, IP66 certified, ideal for usage in outdoor locations, whether it be college campuses and or enterprise campuses, warehouse or logistics facilities, farms, outdoor residential campuses, lots of different options there. Again, the big thing here is the weatherproof and the waterproof functionality that it offers. This device gives you 5 gigabit ports. 4 of those do provide PoE or PoE plus output. You can see there for the picture in the middle there, the ports. There is a piece that covers up that, which makes it waterproof and weatherproof. You can see on the bottom there's you don't see it in the picture, but there is a piece that kind of clips on top of that opening there, which protects the ports and whatnot, making the whole device weatherproof, waterproof. This is the first layer 2 switch that we have that does have the PoE output ports, so it does give you 4 there. SFP port as well, up to 15 gigs per second. But again, this is an outdoor, weatherproof, waterproof switch for applications deployments that need an outdoor weatherproof network switch. Again, layer 2 light network switch. The other new switch to tell you about is a new member of our unmanaged 2.5 gig multi-gig switch category, the GWN77MP. I should have mentioned before I started here that the order of the products I'm going in here is basically from the most recent product that we launched to the one furthest away. So this switch that I just told you about, this was launched just a couple of weeks ago. The GWN7700MP here was launched back in August. And again, the MP becomes which is in the middle here. Again, these are 2.5 gig multi-gigabit unmanaged network switches. One in the middle is the new model that we're talking about here. 5 ports, 4 PoE ports. This is the first model of this particular series of unmanaged 2.5 gig multi-gigabit switches. This is the first model to have PoE output ports included in it, and that's really kind of the main difference. You see the P in the model name, P for Power over Ethernet. So again, first 2.5 gig multi-gigabit unmanaged switch that we've come out with that has PoE output ports included. So let's move on now. Those are the two new network switches we've launched here within the last couple of months. I believe this was back in July, could have been August. We released, this is actually the second and the third member of our GSC 3500 series of facility control stations. However, these two models that you see here are completely different than the not completely different, but well, I'm going to say more powerful than the GSC 3570, the previous model that we've had out for a couple of years. So the big thing about these devices is that they are Android. So open Android, this is not, a closed version of Android you see from other manufacturers who will use Android to basically design their user interface, and then they're going to cut off your access and not allow you to install apps or whatnot. These are open Android devices. And what these facility control stations are is it really gives you a centralized portal to run your whole office's communication and intercom facility access solution from one place. Whether it be mounted on the wall throughout the office, at the desk of or with security people, with a receptionist, whatnot. So from these devices, which give you 7-inch touchscreen, dual band, built-in Wi-Fi 6, the 8 different alarm input ports, 2 different alarm output ports, and also has a whole SIP phone functionality built into it, as you can see there. Supports up to 6 different SIP accounts and 2 lines. So basically from this device, you can send out, you can make intercom announcements, you can send out pages or page people through, the intercom in the speaker system, public address. You can manage IP video surveillance cameras on the network and actually see the video feeds on them. You can manage your GDS series, our door access cameras from this device, actually communicate through those with the ones that do have a speaker or a video camera on them directly from this device, and then allow somebody in right from this device. And the thing that Android adds to this is that you can now run any HVAC, lighting, smart home, smart office, or anything related to that. Any Android apps on, in those categories can now be run on this device. So not only can you run your intercom and your paging and your facility access and your surveillance system from here, but you can now also use this device to control on offices HVAC, use it as a digital thermostat, control lighting. If you're using it at a home to run different smart, all the different Alexa or smart home office or smart home apps out there. So a lot of really cool things that this device can do that we don't have anything previously that can do because of the Android nature of it. Takes the previous model that we've had and really just powers it up. Obviously adds Android. Wi-Fi 6 support on this device is important to mention. This has a lot more of the alarm inputs and alarm outputs. So that allows you to, sync this device and also use it with third-party, motion sensors or other, similar security devices that can be integrated directly with these two devices. The 3574 is the white model, and the 3575 is the black model. That's the only difference here between those two. Is just the color of the device. So yeah, really cool device. I've been looking forward to these for a long time. I think the Android functionality built into this device, the ability to support Android apps really takes our intercom and facility control station to the next level, allowing you to basically run an entire office, an entire home directly from this dedicated device. So that is the GSC 3574 and GSC 3575, our new HD intercom and facility control stations. But again, if you remember anything about them, remember that they run on Android. So let's keep moving along here. Next, we'll give you I will tell you about the 4 new Wi-Fi 6 access points that we've launched here in the last couple of months. I believe that these were both launched in July and August. So there are 2 new indoor models you see on the bottom of the screen there, the ones with the orange new below them. GWN 7660E and 7664E. You might notice that those look very similar, or those are the same model number as other previous or other access points that we have and are currently offering, with just an E added onto the end. And you are right, and I will give you a more explain that to you here in a second. We also have two notes, so those were two new outdoor, excuse me, here we have two new indoor access points, also two new outdoor access points, the two on the right here, the 7660 ELR and the 7664 ELR, and there we are again with the E in the model name. And again, I'll explain this to you here in just a moment. These four new models are replacing the previous versions that didn't have the E on it. It is the same features, the same functionalities. It actually is a little bit low of a price point, which is why we put the E in the model name, but it's the same features and the same functionalities. Otherwise, actually, I think there are some enhancements on these newer devices that weren't available on the older devices. And they are, and again, and these newer devices are being offered at a lower price point. We've been shipping them for a couple of months, actually. Yeah, so let's go quickly through these four new models. This is the GWN 7664E, and this is a replacement of the GWN 7664. The replacement has essentially already happened. These models, again, are a little bit lower price, which is why we had to, I think they actually run a slightly different chipset, which is why we had to put an E on it. We had to differentiate this version from the previous versions. So that's actually the reason you see the E, is because it's a different chipset. It's a more powerful chipset that's actually a lower price. So, you know, there we go. More, better, or stronger, slightly stronger product, cheaper price. So you're going to see it's going to have pretty much all the same features and functionalities as the 7664 before it. Again, full Wi-Fi 6 support, all the way up to 6 gigabits per second. I believe off the top of my head that this is the fastest access point in our portfolio in terms of the wireless speeds that it supports. One thing that I should mention, because I know this has thrown people off, it's frankly threw me off at first. You see the E in the model names. That does not indicate that these are Wi-Fi 6E models. These are Wi-Fi 6 models. The E was something that we threw in our own kind of naming convention internally that ended up sticking. So again, it is the same as the 7664. We've just put in, we're just now using different chipsets, and the price point is a tad bit lower. But all the same features and functionalities otherwise. So that's the 7664E. Again, this is going to be the fastest Wi-Fi speeds of any of our access points that we're going to support, all the way up to 6 gigs per second. Now we have here the Wi-Fi, or the GWN 7660E. The 7660 for basically since it came out was and up until, you know, this is going to continue that legacy. The 7660 model has always been our best-selling Wi-Fi access point. It's kind of a mid-tier. You see that this supports 3 gigs per second, whereas the 64 E that I showed you previously supports 3. But it is Wi-Fi 6, so, you know, this is ideal for, you know, moderate deployments, I would say. Which up until now, you know, and I think this makes sense with our history as really being a small to medium-sized business shop, that's kind of where we're seeing the majority of our networking devices go. And this device has, you know, as the numbers show, has been the most popular one within that crowd. So again, same as the 7660, just slightly lower price point. Wi-Fi 6 again, 3 gigs per second. Yeah, that's the main stuff to mention here. Keep it moving along here. Now we're moving to our new long-range outdoor access points. And same thing here. We've got a 7664 ELR and a 7660 ELR. These are replacing the, you know, the previous versions that didn't have the E in them. Hopefully that makes sense. The one kind of big difference here, as you see, the indoor access points I showed you have the same, you know, same look, same feel, same shape, all that. These new outdoor access points are different. These are all internal antennas, whereas our previous devices, for example, the 7664 LR was for external antennas. We've been able to build the technology to have these antennas internally to the device and actually offer faster speeds and wider and larger range. Moving those antennas to the inside of the device just adds one less component. Again, it just adds one less component to the product. It's now an all-in-one. You don't have to deal with antennas or anything like that. It's all built into the device. So that's really the big thing to mention here with these new long-range outdoor access points, is that the antennas are internal to them. No external antennas anymore. So 7664 ELR again replaces the 7664 LR. This is going to give you the fastest wireless throughput for outdoor access points with up to 6 gigs per second. You'll see the 7660 ELR on the next slide will give you 3 gigs per second. So yeah, this is basically the highest powered long range outdoor access point in our portfolio. You see on the bottom there, the slide about the 8 internal antennas. So previously our devices had just 4 external antennas, 4 external antennas. So we've actually doubled the number of antennas in the device, but by making them internal, one less component to deal with. It's an all-in-one, nothing else to deal with. So that's the 7664 ELR, replacement for the 7664 LR, and again, the highest end outdoor Wi-Fi access point that we have. When I say outdoor, you see the slide on there, IP67 weatherproof certified. And then this is the 7660 ELR, similar to what you saw with the indoor access points between these two models. 7660 again gives you it's a little bit of a step down in terms of power, but kind of traditionally has also been the best-selling outdoor access point because again, our history has us really large portion of our business fall in the small to medium-sized business, and this is a perfect access point with the 3 gigs and the 256 concurrent clients that they're looking for. All of our outdoor access points will give you 300-meter range. This device, again, internal antennas, 5 internal antennas versus the 8 that you get on the 7664 ELR. All right, so those are 4 new Wi-Fi access points that we've released here in the last couple of months. Just a real quick to go through them again. 7664E, which is the highest powered indoor access point we have. 7660E, which is essentially our best-selling indoor access point. We've got the 7664 ELR, our highest powered outdoor weatherproof access point, and then the 7660 ELR, which traditionally has been the best-selling long-range access point for us. All right, we're getting close to the end here. The rest of the stuff that I have to cover, other than the coming soon, which I'll spend a couple of minutes on, the rest of the stuff here I believe we've covered in previous webinars. Just wanted to touch on it again, specifically the UC network convergence, because it's really been the focus of our marketing efforts. This is, in my opinion, this is the most innovative, intriguing, exciting product that Grandstream's ever come out with. This is truly a new product category. There's almost nothing out there right now that does what the GCC does in terms of its ability to, like you see here on the screen, we've in one device combined a router, a firewall, an IP PBX, and then either a network switch or a Wi-Fi access point, depending on which model that you get. This gives you literally an all-in-one solution to own a business's entire communications platform. Going back to the ICT before, both the communications and collaboration side of it with the built-in PBX, which supports up to 200 users through various expansions, and then the networking side of it with the router, switching, and access point capability, and then adding the firewall, the security firewall functionality into that device as well. So again, I think in the past we've kind of touched on the specs of these devices, so I'm not going to go through these here, but just real fast, because it's a brand new product category, because we realize that it's going to take a little bit of market education to kind of really get the power, convey the power of these devices. So I kind of wanted to give you kind of more of an idea of, from a big picture, why we think this is such a powerful device and what we've been hearing from our partners about it. So the first thing that I mentioned a moment ago is this is an all-in-one solution. You don't need a separate PBX and a separate routing system. You've got it all built into one here. It's literally merging communications, networking, and security into one converged solution. The one thing that I should mention about these before I continue on here is that we believe that these devices are really kind of best targeted at small to medium-sized business. We don't really see it being an enterprise solution, at least not the current series. There might be an enterprise solution that with higher capacity that's coming later. But with the specs the device offers, and really with the advantages that it offers by combining everything into one easy to manage, frankly, very affordable solution, we believe, and the feedback that we've gotten is it's really ideal for small to medium-sized businesses, puts everything in one place, allows them to manage it, adds the firewall functionality, which actually a lot of small to medium-sized businesses are currently taking advantage or don't currently have a firewall set up into place. So everything built into one. And again, this is something that really doesn't exist. We more or less, in many cases, have somewhat of a first mover advantage on this. But again, with that comes having to educate the market, and that's exactly what we're doing. So again, all-in-one solution, all from one manufacturer, which eliminates compatibility concerns with having to merge multiple different manufacturers onto one solution. It's incredibly easy to set up and manage, obviously for resellers, but also for a small to medium-sized business that might not have full-time or dedicated IT staff. Between the built-in management tool and the user interface, and honestly, primarily through GDMS, they can very easily manage the system. We have actually on our website right now, there's a blog post we published yesterday about the GCC series. If you scroll to the bottom of that, there's a link where you can view a live demo of the GCC series user interface. And that right from there, I'll show you how easy, it's incredibly visual, very easy to figure out what's what. We have tooltips built into it. So very easy solution to take on. Low cost of ownership, buying one of these devices much lower than purchasing separate solutions for doing so. That low cost of ownership, obviously ideal for the end user, but for the partner side of it, what it does by having this all-in-one solution with Grandstream is it creates the ability for you to use the GCC to drive sales of Grandstream endpoints. Obviously, ideally, one of these is going to be surrounded by a network of Wi-Fi access points and routers and network switches and wireless and wired IP phones. And so this really gives you kind of an anchor of a solution to sell and add a bunch of different devices around it, while also giving, ideally, we believe this gives a lot of people the ability to expand your business. If you're primarily focusing on UC, here's an easy way to get into networking. If you're focusing on networking, here's an easy way to get into UC. And we've, again, added the whole firewall component on top of all of that. Gives you centralized endpoint management, ideal for supporting remote workers. Built-in VPNs, remote extension. The Wave app that we have is connected to the GCC series, which allows you to utilize it on any smart device, as well as PC, Mac, etc. And again, I think the big message for our partner base and from what we see through the channel is this device gives you the ability to own the customer's entire solution. You can sell more now while locking in future sales through expansions, upgrades, and more as the business grows and needs to expand with more and more solutions. So hopefully that gives you, provides a little bit more of an explanation into the GCC series and why we believe it's such a powerful device. Frankly, again, because it really is providing something that isn't out there now, that kind of goes on our mission of making all of this high-end communications and networking technology easy and affordable. Real fast here, and then we'll get into the coming soon, and then we'll wrap up. Again, I think we mentioned these in previous webinars, so just wanted to mention them again, just in case we didn't. I think this was going all the way back to May. We came out with a new decked handset. As you'll see in a moment, I'm about to show you two relatively new Wi-Fi 6 cordless phones we came out with. Actually, I'll just go to them now, and you can see that, oh, I don't have any big pictures. I guess you can see at the top there. So this new deck phone has the same form factor, same updated, sleek, look and feel as our new Wi-Fi phones do. So you'll notice, if you know our deck phones, that the DP725 looks a lot. It looks updated. It looks more modern than our current devices. And it's a new form feel, same look and feel as our Wi-Fi phones. Again, the new sleek, new updated sleek look to it. And we have another new deck handset coming out in a couple of months that I'll tell you about in a moment. And then again, I'm pretty sure we covered this in a webinar back in April or May, but we did back in May release two brand new Wi-Fi 6 cordless phones. These were our first of the WP series to support Wi-Fi 6, built-in Bluetooth. We're going to give you up to a 12-hour talk time with the WP826, built-in push-to-talk, built-in accelerometer. So again, these are our first cordless Wi-Fi phones that support Wi-Fi 6. Main difference between the two is you can kind of see the WP826 is a little bit larger, and because of that, it supports up to 3 lines versus 2 lines on the 816. The 826 gives you 12 hours talk time versus 6 hours on the 816. But they're both going to give you the built-in dual band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, noise shield technology, push to talk, built-in accelerometer, all that, USB-C charging as well, charging cradle and cable are included. So again, first new Wi-Fi 6 cordless phones that we've come out with. Got some new Wi-Fi phones coming out that I'll tell you about here in a second, in a couple of months. But yeah, we mentioned these previously, but just wanted to cover them again while we got everyone here. So last slide here, and then we will wrap up. Thanks again, everyone, for joining here today. I always like to give an idea of kind of what you can expect, kind of pulling back the, what's the phrase here? We're pulling back the cover to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on inside the hood of the car. What we're working on, what you can expect to see for us. And I would say what I've got here probably goes through for the next 4 to 6 months or so. So we've got some new Wi-Fi 7 access points coming. I think that's really the kind of most noteworthy thing here. Those we're expecting to start to roll out one Wi-Fi 7 access point model by the end of this year. And then I think there's 5 or 6 in the portfolio for early next year. So we've got Wi-Fi 6, we got a ton of Wi-Fi 6 access points, told you about them now. We actually do have one Wi-Fi 6E access point, which we didn't talk about, the GWN 76, what is it? GWN 7665. And now within the next couple of months, we'll also have a full portfolio of Wi-Fi 7 access points. These Wi-Fi 7 access points are actually going to have a little bit of a different design and look to them than our current access points. Next thing, this one's also really exciting, and this is actually something that we've been developing for a little while. A Wi-Fi smartphone and scanner. This is essentially going to be, not essentially it is, this is an Android smartphone that's going to have a built-in barcode scanner on the back of it. So this device is going to serve essentially 2 different main markets. You have those looking for a high-end Wi-Fi phone. Again, it's going to be a full touchscreen, running the latest version of Android, full access to all the Google Play Store and all those apps. And also we'll have a scanner on the back. So that is the other market for this, with people are looking for the scanning functionality built into it. And that's going to really be for warehouses, logistics centers, greenhouses, medical, just the main ones that pop into my head. So that is expected to launch by the end of the year. We're looking at probably November, December for that. That will be, we'll support Wi-Fi 6, obviously. So keep an eye out for that. That will be a new WP series device, full touchscreen, Wi-Fi, smartphone, and scanner. We have a GRP 2613W coming out. For those of you that know our carrier grade IP phones, the GRP series, this is just adding a Wi-Fi version of the Wi-Fi version of the GRP 2613. It will support Wi-Fi 6. I mentioned a moment ago some new DECT phones that we're working on. One of them, and the next one that you're going to see potentially this year, I would say probably more likely early next year, will be our first ruggedized DECT phone. So you might be familiar with our WP825. That is a ruggedized Wi-Fi IP phone. This is going to be basically the same form factor as the WP825, but it will be a DECT phone instead of a Wi-Fi phone. Ruggedized meaning waterproof, weatherproof, drop safe, submerge in water, all that stuff. The next group of switches that you're going to see us come out with, and I think these are by the end of the year, will be a new series of, it'll be our first layer 3 multi-gigabit switches. Currently, we have unmanaged multi-gigabit switches. We will soon add multi-gigabit switches at the layer 3 level. And then as we get into early next year, we're also finishing up the development of some new Wi-Fi 6 routers, as well as some new wired routers as well. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of what you can expect to see from us over the next 4 to 6 months. From my side, and in my opinion, the two at the top there are going to be the most impactful, the ones that people are looking forward to the most: Wi-Fi 7 access points and a Wi-Fi smartphone. And with that, that wraps up what I had planned to cover here today. Once again, thanks everyone for joining. Always look forward to webinars with you guys and the Microcom community. And so with that, I will wrap up my part. I'll turn it back over to Julie for any questions.
Thank you so much, Phil. We enjoyed that presentation very, very much. And I do have some questions for you. Let's start with the first one. Let's see here. Number one, do the new switches support PoE++ for power-hungry devices such as Wi-Fi 6 APs and PTZ cameras?
Very good question. We do have some switches that do support PoE++. One of them actually no. Yes. Sorry, I was off the top of my head. I thought one of the ones I showed you earlier today was, but we do have a variety of switches. I believe the layer 3 and the aggregation switches that do support PoE++ output. The data sheets will break all of that down. I can't remember the specific models off the top of my head, but we definitely have switches that support PoE++. And I would start by looking at the layer 3 and the layer 2 switches.
Thank you so much for that, Phil. Next question here for you. What are the energy efficiency features you could tell us about of the new switches?
The energy efficiency, let me see, I'm gonna go all the way back to see if this might be covered on any of these slides. The energy efficiency is all just in kind of internally how the device, where are we at here? How the device operates internally, how it uses energy, the power, power supply ports, all of that. That's primarily what it's focused about. I was hoping that there might be more of an explanation here, but it doesn't look like that there is. But yeah, off the top of my head from my experience with it, the energy efficiency. Oh, and it's also the ability of the device to automatically, I'm sorry, this is the main part of it. The device to have the ability to automatically recognize and kind of adjust the PoE power output based on by port as needed as the device goes. Basically, just make sure that it's only providing and only using the maximum amount of electricity that it needs to.
Thank you so much for that, Bill. Next question here for you. How do the switches handle network segmentation and VLAN support?
So I can tell you we have full in-depth enhanced VLAN support. We have a variety of different guides up on our website. Actually, if you go to our documentation center, which you can get to from our support dropdown on our website or from any of the product pages, we'll have full details. I believe we have a full user guide. Actually, I know because I've seen it on just setting up VLANs, VLAN options, and all that. So I would honestly just kind of recommend checking that out. I think that can give you a much more holistic answer than I can probably provide.
No problem. We can certainly do that. Thank you, Bill. A couple more questions here. Here we go. Let's see. Can the control stations integrate with Grandstream's IP video surveillance systems?
Yes, absolutely. To go take it a step further, it can integrate with any IP video surveillance system. The device is an open source SIP endpoint. Even though it's a control station, you can essentially think of it as a SIP phone that we've just added all of this control station functionality to. So it can communicate with and integrate with any other SIP device. For IP cameras, obviously our own, but quite frankly, any third-party IP video surveillance solution will be able to be integrated with this device. I know that, I'm not sure if it's mentioned on the data sheet, but I believe that that product does have ONVIF certification. Those that know the, or ONVIF compliancy, I should say. Those of you that know the surveillance industry, ONVIF is kind of like the open source that kind of maintains compatibility between different manufacturers. And we are ONVIF compliant, so it should be compliant with any third-party solutions as well.
Thank you so much for that, Bill. Next question here for you. Are the facility control stations compatible with third-party building management systems?
The answer to that question is most likely. If it has an Android app, it will work, is what I will say. Taking that a step further, one of the things we've promoted, and I didn't mention this as we were going through, but it's good to point out, especially with this question. One of the things that we've always done, we did this with our video phones, we're doing it with these intercom stations as well. Because we're open Android, again, we're not taking it and locking it down. You can go on our website and get the the software development kit and for these intercom stations. Use that with Google's API to create your own custom Google apps to run on these devices. And the best example that I can give you is we have multiple different hotel clients that, and this is, so I'll say this example is on the video phones, but I think it also applies here. Multiple different hotel clients who have created their own Android apps that run on our video phones, and the video phones are in each room, and that allows you to order room service, check in, check out, you know, get the news, get hotel updates, see restaurant menus and all that directly from the phone. So you could, and that is because we provide the SDK available for those products along with the API from Google, and you can do the same thing here. So, you know, if there isn't an Android app for what you're looking to do, or if the platform that you're looking to use doesn't already have an Android app, you could very easily create one, and we're here to help with that process.
Bill, thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone for attending our webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned and shown here today, please remember that this webinar presentation has been recorded and we'll be uploading it to our Microcom YouTube channel so we can all view it again. Bill, thank you again for your time and all of your valuable information. We look forward to it, and I will be touching base with you in a few months so we can do this again. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.